Brothers and sisters, one more time, we're here with you. And I'm sure when you see this beautiful altar, I see how do you feel. And even when I see these empty pews, you know how do I feel. But you know what? We're in communion. And in spite of, we're sure that God is taking care of us. And the other thing is that we're sure that this is temporary. And all this is happening for those that God loves, which means we all His children. Brothers and sisters, personally, sometimes I give for granted many things in my schedule, in my agenda. But last week, things started to change. And then it seems like I found myself at home, myself and only myself, of course with the other priests, But in some way, I start to find myself that I am as another one in the face of the earth, another human being, vulnerable, and in one word, in God's hands. And it is unbelievable, but it seems like coronavirus took our schedule. And as we hear, till further notice, but we're here. Because our faith makes us to be standing. Our faith makes us to have hope and continue our journey. Because again, this is only one stage, a longer journey. This is not the end. And then in the middle of these changes, these crises, these difficult times, we have to have our faith alive. So it seems like the gospel is in the same page like us, or with us. Because it seems like even the friends of Jesus in Bethany, they are experiencing also some difficult times. And it is unbelievable, but when Jesus heard that one of his friends was ill, the gospel says that the response of Jesus was, "This illness is not to the end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it." And also, in another part, Jesus, the gospel says that Jesus stayed still another days where he was. And maybe our human thoughts, our human logic, our human way, we can see why Jesus did that to his friends. But there is only one response. It's a God's time. It's a God's hour. And I guess we cannot compare our own time with the God's times. So apparently, Jesus was late in his visit. But for him, he was just on time to respond to the needs of his friends. And now, my brothers and sisters, we are experiencing these changes in our lives. And we have lots of questions with no response. But now, we, like Martha and Mary in Bethany, we're waiting for God's times. And God, in the presence of God, is never late. He knows the hour. But one thing is true. When Jesus arrives, things start to change for good. And we see that Lazarus' resurrection. And then life start to change in the best way. But also, we can see that Martha, from that day on, she had not only a friend, but also she discovered that Jesus was also the Lord, the Son of the living God. My brothers and sisters, today, also like Martha, we have to trust and to ask to Jesus that even now, if we ask in His name all what we ask, the Lord will give us. But also, it is time to purify our faith, to purify the idea we have from God. And then it's time to profess our faith. In spite of these changes, in spite of this tribulation, it's time to renew and profess our faith. And then we can say, like Martha said to Jesus, Martha responded to Jesus when Jesus said, "Do you believe this?" After Jesus offered the resurrection of her brother, Martha said, "Yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." Brothers and sisters, we're not orphans. God is with us. God is with us, talking us from His Word, from His sacraments, but above all, He's present one more time here in the sacrament of the Eucharist. Amen.